Hi guys, welcome back to another day of listening and learning. We are starting a new domain. It is called Greek myths. So like before when we learned about Greek ancient civilizations, now we're going to learn about Greek myths, okay? And so what is a myth? A myth are stories that are told which have a lesson, a moral lesson at the end. All right? So, do we remember where the gods and goddesses lived? Well, the gods and goddesses lived on Mount Olympus in a city called Greece. And it's right here, Greece. And so they lived, like I said, on Mount Olympus. And these are the 12 gods and goddesses that we went over in Greek civilization. And so, who did the ancient Greeks believe ruled these gods and goddesses? Can you tell by the picture? Zeus and Hera. Good job. Zeus is the king of all the gods, and Hera is the queen of the gods. Today, we're going to read a story about a young boy traveling with his father to Olympia to sell their pottery. And so we're going to read about their journey. Our purpose for listening today is to find important details that compare and contrast Greek gods and humans. So let's get ready. Put your reading cap on. Here we go. Leonidas woke up early on the day of the foot races. Still lying in bed, he could hear his father Cyrus outside tending the horses. He's probably feeding them, Leonidas thought to himself, and then we'll harness them to the cart and make our way to Olympia. Olympia was the site of the day's foot races in honor of Zeus, the leader of all the Greek gods and goddesses. Leonidas and his father would take their pottery to sell to the people at the races. When they had sold all they could, they would watch the races. Leonidas knew that if he asked his father, would tell him again how the gods and goddesses came to be and why he and the other Greeks honored them with races, festivals, and feasts. It was his favorite story, and he loved to hear his father tell it. But first, Leonidas had to get out of bed and get dressed. Otherwise, he wouldn't get to hear the story or see the races at all. At breakfast, he went outside to help his father Cyrus, who had just finished harnessing the first of their 2 horses to the cart. "Good morning, father," Leonidas said. "Good morning, son. We're almost ready to go. Will you help me harness the last horse?" Leonidas nodded, and together, as the sun burnt away the morning fog, father and son harnessed the second horse. Once they double-checked that the horse was securely fastened to the cart, Leonidas and Cyrus finished storing their pottery safely in the cart. Then, taking their seats on a wooden plank at the front of the cart, they started their journey to Olympia. After they traveled some miles down the road, Leonidas asked, "Father, will you tell me again the story of the gods and goddesses?" "Of course, son. As you know, we're going to Olympia for the foot races held in honor of Zeus. Olympia is the home of an important sanctuary devoted to Zeus, where we celebrate him and the other Olympian gods and goddesses with sporting competitions. The 12 gods of Mount Olympus are the most powerful of all the many gods, and Zeus is their leader. Of course, Mount Olympus is actually far away, but this is a beautiful valley, beloved to them and perfect for the games." Their cart went over a bump, and Cyrus turned around to check their wares briefly before continuing the story. "These gods and goddesses can sometimes be just like you and me. They can feel happy or sad, jealous and angry, or generous and loving. Unlike you or me, they have special powers to control things like the seasons and the weather, and when and where there is war, and sometimes with whom we fall in love. And unlike you and me, The gods are immortal. That means they never die. Now, let's pause just for a moment to review what's happening in our story. How do you think Leonidas feel about going to Olympia to see the races held in honor of Zeus? Well, I think he feels excited. He's excited to go on this journey, not only to sell pottery. Do we know what pottery is? Pottery are like vases and vases and things that you put flowers in and other important things in. All right? So I think he's excited, and we're going to see why he's excited. Cyrus paused before continuing on with Leonidas' favorite part of the story. That's how the gods are different from mortals on earth, but do you know how to tell them apart from one another? Leonidas did know, but he wanted his father to continue telling the story. So he said, "Yes, father, but tell me anyway." Cyrus continued on saying, "Well, as I said before, Zeus is the leader of all the gods and protects all of us here on earth. He has a voice like rolling thunder and controls the wind, rain, and lightning, which he also uses as his weapons. He has two brothers, Hades and Poseidon, and together they rule the whole world. Zeus controls the heavens. Poseidon controls the seas and rules over it with a trident. When he strikes the ground with his trident, the earth shakes. And when he strikes the sea with it, the waves rise up as tall as the mountains. Zeus and Poseidon are the two of the 12 gods who live on Mount Olympus and have thrones there. Leonidas and his father came to a fork in the road and turned left. They could now see other carts ahead of them in the distance, other vendors looking to sell their wares at the foot races in Olympia. "And what about Hades, Zeus's brother?" Leonidas asked. "Well, Zeus rules the heavens and Poseidon rules the sea. Hades rules the underground. Hades has a helmet that makes him invisible so that no one, friend or foe, can see him coming. Hades' throne is underground where he lives," Cyrus said. "He sounds scary," Leonidas shivered. "Who else lives on Mount Olympus?" "Well," Cyrus said, "Zeus also has a sister who has a throne on Mount Olympus. Demeter is the goddess of the harvest and grain. She looks after all the fields and crops on earth. Zeus's wife Hera also lives on Mount Olympus. She is the queen of the gods and goddesses and is the goddess of women's lives." How many is that? Cyrus turned and asked his son. Counting on his fingers, Leonidas said, "Zeus, Poseidon, Demeter, Hera, just 4. Who are the other gods and goddesses who live on Mount Olympus?" "Well, there's Hephaestus, god of fire and the blacksmith of the gods, Aphrodite, the goddess of love, Athena, goddess of wisdom, and Ares, god of war. Then there are twins, Apollo, the god of light and music, and his sister Artemis, the goddess of the hunt. There's Hermes, the messenger of the gods, and finally Dionysus, the youngest of all the gods. Even though these are the most powerful of all the gods and goddesses, Zeus is the strongest of all, and it is he whom we honor today." Cyrus stopped the cart. They finally had reached Olympia. Spectators and vendors moved all around them as athletes stretched in preparation for their races. Leonidas knew that many miles away was cloud-covered Mount Olympus. As the midday sun shone through some of the clouds, Leonidas imagined he could see the briefest glimpse of a palace with 12 golden thrones. All right, guys, now we're going to get to our comprehension questions. The first question, Leonidas and Cyrus were going to the sanctuary at Olympia to sell their pottery and be spectators at the races held in Zeus's honor. What story did Cyrus tell Leonidas during their journey? Well, he told Leonidas all about the Olympian gods and goddesses, what their special powers were, and how the Greeks held the races in honor of Zeus. Good job. Now, where did Olympia gods and goddesses supposedly live? Great. They lived on Mount Olympus in a nice, beautiful palace. So, lastly, how were the gods and goddesses similar to humans? Well, they were believed to have many different emotions. They were happy, they were sad, they get jealous, they get angry. So, don't you feel those emotions as well? Yes, so do the gods and goddesses. Well, one bonus question, how were they different? Well, they were different because they were believed to have special powers and they were believed to be immortal, which means they never die. All right, guys, let's get ready for our brain breaks. I need for you to stand up, wiggle yourself, wiggle, 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 get it out. Now, we're getting into that season where it's getting colder. In the morning, you feel all snugly under your covers, but when you take those covers off, you feel that cold, you shiver. Show me your best shiver. Woo. You're waiting outside for the snow, and you shiver. Show me your shiver. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Now, if someone does a great job, like if everyone in your class passed their spelling test, what does everybody in your school do? They give you a round of applause. Woo! Give yourself a round of applause for all that you have done this season. Woo! Yes. Now, let's do something with our feet. I want you to stand in place. And for 10 seconds, march in place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good job. Last one, guys. We're going to wiggle our arms for 10 seconds. This time, I want you to count by 10. Here we go. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. All right, guys, let's get into our word works. Our word for today is spectators. Can you say that with me? Spectators. Yes. Spectators and vendors moved all around Leonidas and his father as the athletes stretched in preparation for their races. So spectators are observers or people who watch an event. So an example sentence, the spectators waited in their seats for the basketball game to begin. Can you say the word with me? What word? Spectators, yes, spectators. Now it's your turn. Have you ever been a spectator or seen spectators? All right, guys, let's brainstorm some words or events for spectators. So, what are some situations where spectators might be present? Think. Yes, at a game, at the mall, and even, guess what? There are spectators on TikTok. Yes, because remember, spectators are people who observe or watch different events. All right? So what word? Spectators. All right, guys, so until next time, I'll see you. Remember, be a spectator. Bye.